Who was the nicest person to you over the last week? Can you think of somebody that did something really nice to you or was really kind to you? Maybe they said something really nice to you. Maybe they gave you some money. Maybe they took you out for supper. I don't know. Who was the nicest person to you over this last week? Conversely, who was the meanest person to you over this last week? Maybe they said something really nasty to you. Maybe they called you a mean name. Maybe they made your job way too difficult. Maybe they just made your life just miserable. I don't know. It's really easy to be nice to people that are nice to you. And it's really tough to be nice to people who are mean to you. But we're told in the scriptures that we're supposed to be nice to everybody. We're supposed to be showing love to everybody. We're supposed to be submitting ourselves to everybody. Not just the nice people in our lives, but everybody. That's tough. But as we continue in our 5-minute message series from 1 Peter, we've gotten to chapter 2. We're going to be looking at a brand new section today, verses 18 through 25. It's all about enduring suffering and submitting ourselves to those people, even in the midst of suffering by their hand. That's not easy to do. Sure would be nice if everybody was just nice to us, because it's easy to be nice to people that are nice to us. But in this section, we're going to be thinking about enduring suffering as it relates to submission. Peter brought this up last week, this idea of submission. And now, much like in the book of Ephesians, where Paul says, to submit yourselves to one another, and then he gives some examples to do so, Peter's going to do much of the same thing here. But it's in the context of suffering and going through persecution or trials. And so this is what Peter's going to bring to our mind, going through suffering and enduring suffering properly. We're just going to be looking at verses 18, 19, and 20 today, this first part of this next section. Because we can be shown commendation as we endure this suffering properly. It's going to go a little something like this. Servants, be submissive to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the harsh. For this is commendable, if because of conscience towards God one endures grief, suffering wrongly. For what credit is it if you are beaten for your faults, you take it patiently? But when you do good and suffer, if you take it patiently, it is commendable before God. So he's thinking about enduring persecution, because 1 Peter, remember, is all about how do you handle life when it goes upside down? You go through trials, persecutions. What kind of wisdom can Peter give to us as we go through these tough days? And he's going to bring up the idea of submission. You can submit yourselves to people, even that are harsh to you, that you don't like, that you don't always agree with or get along with. And he's going to start this section with masters. Servants, that's you, by the way. Servants, be submissive to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle. It's easy to submit ourselves to people that are nice to us. If you had a medical bill and somebody gave money to that, boy, it's real nice to be super nice and cordial to them and have a wonderful conversation. But what about the harsh people in your life? Maybe somebody said something really nasty to you this week. Can you submit yourselves to them? For this is commendable. God's going to give you a pat on the back and say, well done, if you are able to do something like that. If you can submit yourselves to people who are harsh to you, God's going to say, attaboy, attagirl. It is commendable. If because of conscience towards God one endures grief, suffering wrongly. Not every time that we go through tough times is because we did something stupid. Sometimes Satan's after us, for example. What credit is it if when we're beaten for our faults, you take it patiently? In other words, if you go rob a bank and end up in jail, nobody's going to feel sorry for you. That's just what happens. But when you do good and suffer, now if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you suffer and you take it patiently, that's when you get the attaboy. Sometimes we're treated harshly, not because we did something stupid or wrong, but just because people are mean. Sometimes people are just harsh. Can you submit yourselves to even those kinds of people for the Lord's sake?